Hello and welcome to the Central Television. I am Lekon Obanjo. Here are some stories making rounds beyond the continent. We begin in Europe, where Russia on Friday celebrated the 80th anniversary of the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. This was as President Vladimir Putin presided over a massive parade of tanks, missiles and troops through Red Square and welcomed over 24 world leaders, the most since Moscow sent troops into Ukraine. Victory Day, which Russia marks on May 9, is the country's most important secular holiday. The parade and other festivities underline Moscow's efforts to project its global power and cement the alliances it has forged while seeking a counterbalance to the West amid different uncertainties.
Взрослые люди, да, но вот слезы на глазах наворачиваются, глядя на наших ребят, которые сейчас маршируют, да, именно защитники. Не знаю, вот спокойно смотреть невозможно, особенно ребята, которые прошли СВО. Кстати, уважение другим странам, кто приехал, не знаю, это вот прям гордость за всех людей, не только русских.
Смотрю каждый год, я горжусь тем, что у нас такая армия, вооруженные силы, и очень приятно, что в этом году много глав государств приехали. Это означает, что мы все дальше и дальше, все ближе и ближе к победе.
Meanwhile, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has criticized leaders who attended May 9 ceremonies alongside President Putin, including the military parade in Moscow. Tusk, in a news conference, said that anyone attending the parade to mark the end of the Second World War has brought shame on themselves after Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico became the only European Union leader to attend. This comes after France and Poland signed a treaty with a clause committing both countries to mutual support in case of an attack by an aggressor.
Staram się nie komentować decyzji i zachowań przywódców innych państw, szczególnie tych z naszej wspólnoty Unii Europejskiej. Ale nie ulega dla mnie wątpliwości, że obecność na Paradzie Zwycięstwa w Moskwie i oklaskiwanie prezydenta Putina, który mówi o tym, że będzie kontynuował oczyszczanie Ukrainy z nazizmu, przynosi wstyd każdemu, kto tam jest i udaje, że nie widzi prawdy, bo ta prawda w tym przypadku jest po prostu czarno-biała, tu nie ma co spekulować, tu nie ma co interpretować. Więc obecność na Paradzie Zwycięstwa tych, którzy bombardują miasta, szpitale, przedszkola, którzy doprowadzili do śmierci ponad miliona ludzi, do śmierci lub do ciężkich ran w ciągu 3 lat. Więc obecność na paradzie wojsk takiego państwa przynosi wstyd. I nic więcej tutaj chyba nie trzeba dodawać.
Ejike Okpa, who is a global affairs analyst. Mr. Okpa, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, I mean, how significant do you think Russia's victory parade on a day like this year in the context of the ongoing war in Ukraine? And of course, we've seen the growing tensions with the West too. How would you describe it?
Well, I mean, Putin has always done things the way Putin wants it because he wants to assert himself as a significant global leader. And, just like in the case of Lucifer and Jesus, they all have their own fan clubs and they're going to swear and believe in whomever they want to align with. So, I mean, sometimes I think we pay too much attention to negotiations by some world leaders, and then that embodies them. If you were up to me, some people needs to be ignored. because silence, as like we say, is a good answer to foolishness. But again, they are world leaders, and they're entitled to do whatever they want to do. And the thing is, how effective is what they're doing, and who actually believes in them. So hosting the parade at the 80th anniversary of the end of the World War, which a lot of leaders have gathered in Europe to do. Putin said, "Hey, okay, fine, you do your thing, I'll do my thing." We were part of that one. We're going to do our own parade, and I don't know whether this parade is significant to what is going on between Russia and Ukraine, or just to get attention. So certain attention is not worth, any further comment. You just ignore it, and it is what it is, and then you move on.
And we cannot wish away or shy away from the quality of attendees at the event. I mean, President Putin hosted more than 24 world leaders at the year's parade. But then, what does this tell us about Russia's shifting diplomatic alliances?
I was saying, there's going to be some people who like with that because of what they think they're getting from him, or what they're getting from him, or the fact that he has some influence on them. But you look at the entire Russia economy, and their military might, the people who march and show it for their making show of force, but their military is devastated. They don't have more than weapons. The economy is struggling, and the budget for defense in Russia is not anything to sneeze at compared to what U.S. for instance has. But that doesn't prevent him from doing what he has done, and then he's getting attention. Again, remember, this whole thing is to get attention. Attention can be good, attention can be bad. He doesn't care. So the dozen or so people who have gone to him, these may be people around Russia. There are some other countries that used to be part of the USSR that are still friendly, with Russia. The former president of Ukraine is in exile in Russia. So, again, he has the pull he has on his neighbor. And, maybe, I don't know what it is, an African leader that is there, or Asian leader. Whatever it be the case, for me, is ignore some of this stuff and pretend that it didn't happen, until, there's a real war, and see who's going to win the war.
Well, in your response, I'm thinking you're actually aligning your thoughts with the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk when he called out European leaders who actually attended the parade, saying that they are bringing shame to themselves. I mean, do you think that this signals some sort of a deep divide between the EU over how to actually deal with Russia and Putin?
Yeah, Trump is going to say something, and I don't necessarily agree with him in everything he says. But the point I'm saying is that Putin is president of Russia, and he has his own followers. He has his own fan clubs, just like U.S. has their own fan clubs. So people wanting to align with him, so be it. If there's a reason to punish them for that alignment, exercise it. But if it's just a show of, hey, I'm over here, I'm over there, again, ignore it and deal with the allies that are behind you or with you, and then decide what program or policies you are going to do jointly in order to do what, bolster your own alliance. But, have to respond to everything just because it's Russia doing it, or China or America. It's a distraction as far as I'm concerned, You have to learn to do what, ignore certain things and pretend I didn't happen. Somebody says, did you know? Oh, really? No, that's nice for them. That's good. You move on. No additional comments. Because when you make that comment, there's going to be somebody who's going to like it, or somebody who's not going to like it. And that's just the nature of life. So just minimize, those things and do what you think is good for your own friends and your own self.
Thank you so much, Meji Kyokpa, for sharing your thoughts with us on this particular story.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's go on a break on Beyond the Continent. When we return, we'll tell you about the U.S. proposed Ukraine ceasefire. To stay with us. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz have expressed strong support for a U.S. proposed 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine, calling on Russia to commit to halting hostilities. The proposal, initiated by President Donald Trump and welcomed by Ukrainian authorities weeks earlier, is aimed at opening a window for serious peace negotiations and long-term security guarantees. During a visit to Nancy, Macron emphasized that ending the fighting is essential to achieving lasting peace, while Merz, speaking at NATO headquarters, said responsibility now lies with Moscow. Northern European countries and the UK also backed the plan at a joint expeditionary force meeting in Oslo. European leaders signaled readiness to respond firmly if Russia refuses to engage.
Non, mais c'est ce qui nous permettra de bâtir une paix robuste et durable dans laquelle on négociera les garanties de sécurité. Il faut déjà qu'on arrête les combats. Le président pense que ce sera beaucoup plus dur, nous le savons. Et c'est pour ça que c'est important de garder les Américains en guerre. Mais si ce n'est pas le cas, vous pensez que l'Europe... Je ne fais pas de politique fiction, je me bats pour que ça soit le cas.
Der Ball liegt jetzt ausschließlich in Moskau. Ausschließlich dort wird jetzt darüber entschieden, ob es eine Chance gibt, ab dem kommenden Wochenende, also mit Beginn der nächsten Woche, einen längeren Waffenstillstand in der Ukraine zu ermöglichen und dann auch Raum zu schaffen für Gespräche über einen dauerhaften Frieden in der Ukraine. Das ist
Meanwhile, French Finance Minister Eric Lombard welcomed German Vice Chancellor and Finance Minister Lars Klingbeil to Bercy, signaling a renewed push for deeper bilateral cooperation. The meeting marks Klingbeil's first official visit in his new role and was described by both sides as a key step toward injecting stronger energy into the Franco-German partnership. The two leaders emphasized shared priorities in economic policy, energy transition and industrial strategy, positioning the meeting as a foundation for future joint initiatives within the European Union. The visit is seen as part of broader efforts to revitalize the traditionally pivotal relationship amid shifting geopolitical and economic challenges.
Commencer à parler de la façon dont nous allons travailler ensemble. Travailler ensemble d'abord pour renouer avec une énergie plus forte dans la relation entre nos deux pays et dans la contribution de nos deux pays à la construction d'une nouvelle phase de l'Union européenne.
Für mich war es sehr, sehr wichtig, dass ich heute an meinem dritten Amtstag in Paris sein kann, dass ich meinen französischen Kollegen treffe, dass wir beide uns noch treffen, bevor wir uns am Montag beim ECOFIN-Rat und bei der Eurogruppe in Brüssel wiedersehen. Das ist für mich ein wichtiges Zeichen der deutsch-französischen Freundschaft und auch meines Anspruches, den ich als Finanzminister habe, dass wir eine enge Zusammenarbeit zwischen Deutschland und Frankreich pflegen und ausbauen.
Now, France and Poland have signed a landmark cooperation and friendship treaty, deepening their alliance amid ongoing tensions in Europe. The pact includes a key defense clause committing both nations to mutual support if either is attacked. The move comes as France and Poland, both NATO and EU members, seek to bolster regional security following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk hailed the agreement as a step toward greater European unity and resilience. The treaty covers joint defense planning, intelligence sharing and increased military cooperation. It also emphasizes support for Ukraine and deterring future aggression in Eastern Europe. Analysts say the pact signals growing momentum for stronger continental defense frameworks, independent but complementary to NATO structures. From that, a new era begins at the Vatican. Cardinal Robert Francis, Prevost of the United States, has been elected Pope, making history as the first American to lead the Catholic Church. Now known as Pope Leo XIV, he takes the reins at a time of deep division and growing pressure for reform. For News Central international correspondent Afia Hagen has more in this package.
The 69-year-old American was elected after just 2 days of conclave. Within 24 hours, he paid a surprise visit to his old residence and today led his first Holy Mass as pontiff. But Behind the ceremony lies a daunting to-do list. Pope Leo inherits a church at a crossroads, with demands for change coming from every corner of the Catholic world. On sexual abuse, Pope Francis made strides, calling a global summit and encouraging cooperation from civil authorities. But survivors say it wasn't enough. Internal investigations still aren't automatically shared with police, and Pope Leo faces urgent calls to enforce real accountability. On the role of women, Pope Francis opened doors, allowing women to vote in synods for the first time, but he stopped short of changing doctrine on ordination. With thousands of nuns leaving the church over the past decade, Pope Leo must confront the growing frustration of women who say they do the work but don't have a voice. Pope Francis famously asked, "Who am I to judge?" signaling openness to LGBTQ+ inclusion, but the church remains divided. African bishops rejected blessings for same-sex couples. The new pope must balance tradition with the push for dignity and equality. As Catholic numbers decline in Europe, the global south is now the faith's fastest-growing heartland. Pope Francis diversified church leadership, appointing cardinals from Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Pope Leo is expected to continue that shift. And looming over all of this, money. The Vatican faces a budget crisis, with a pension fund shortfall nearing €2 billion. Reforming papal finances will be one of Pope Leo's biggest challenges. From inclusion to integrity, power to poverty, Pope Leo XIV steps into the spotlight with a church in flux and a world watching closely. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
In the meantime, President Claudia Sheinbaum has extended her congratulations to Pope Leo XIV, who on Thursday became the global leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Sheinbaum said she shared the pontiff's humanist values in favor of world peace and prosperity. Pope Leo XIV, or Papa Leon XIV, as is known in Spanish, was born Robert Francis Prevost in Chicago in September 1955. He is the first pope from the United States and the second from the Americas after Pope Francis, an Argentine, who passed away on April 21 after a 12-year papacy.
Líder de la Iglesia Católica, jefe de Estado Vaticano, que también tiene una orientación por los pobres. Y eso es muy bueno porque va a estar atento, creo yo, a las necesidades de quien menos tiene y al mismo tiempo a la construcción de la paz y la prosperidad en el mundo. Orientación, pero por su historia, pues creemos que en cierta forma va a seguir un legado que deja el Papa Francisco. Entonces eso nos da mucho aliento.
And away from that story to this landslide news, at least 5 people have been killed and 2 are missing after a landslide near Colombia's second largest city of Medellin on Thursday. Antigua Department Governor Andres Julian Rendon said on X that rescue teams were deployed to Sabaneta municipality south of Medellin, where heavy rains caused landslides and flooding. The mayor's office said it has set up shelters for victims while rescue efforts are ongoing. The department's disaster relief agency said that geologists, engineers, social professionals are on site and heavy machinery has been activated to remove material.
Entré en pánico, me tocó salir de la casa, cogí el gato y de una salir para la calle porque estaba demasiado, muy peligroso ayer. Y nos hicieron evacuar, prácticamente evacuaron todos los vecinos de acá de San Isidro.
Quedó todo el frente donde bajó el lodo, se abrió la puerta y la casa está inundada hasta la mitad de la casa.
Y seguimos en la búsqueda de personas que infortunadamente hubiesen perdido su vida o las otras que vayan apareciendo reportadas como desaparecidas.
Away from that, protesters in Karachi have gathered atop the ruins of a damaged home to denounce escalating hostilities between India and Pakistan following a spate of deadly cross-border drone and missile strikes. Demonstrators called on the international community to acknowledge Pakistan's opposition to war, while also expressing support for the military in the event of further escalation. Both sides have exchanged accusations of drone incursions and artillery shelling, with more than 40 deaths reported since Wednesday. India claims it targeted militant sites, while Pakistan accuses New Delhi of unprovoked aggression and civilian casualties. Pakistan's military reported the interception of multiple Indian drones, while India asserted it had successfully struck air defense positions in Lahore.
उड़ रहा है, सिर्फ ना नजर नहीं आ रहा, आवाज आ रही है इसकी, जैसे वो मच्छर वच्छर ना वैसी आवाज आ रही, फुल स्पीड में, मतलब हमने इग्नोर किया, हमने बोला शायद पता नहीं कुछ ऐसी होगा, लेकिन ये जब हम स्कूल में बैठे हुए थे 10 सवा 10 का टाइम था, तो ये ऐसे टकराया जैसे पता नहीं कोई बम ब्लास्ट हो गया हो जैसे.
The protest to reject Indian aggression. This is the protest to let the civilized world know that Pakistan does not want war. But if it comes to protect our motherland, every Pakistani is standing beside our.
Yemen's Houthi rebels said they attacked Israel's main airport on Friday. This comes after the Israeli military said it had intercepted a missile fired from Yemen. Houthi military spokesman Yahya Sari said that the Iran-backed group targeted the Ben Gurion International Airport near Tel Aviv using a hypersonic ballistic missile, while also claiming a drone attack targeting a vital Israeli enemy target in the same area.
القوات الصاروخية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية عملية عسكرية نوعية استهدفت مطار اللد المسمى إسرائيليا مطار بن غوريون في منطقة يافا المحتلة، وذلك بصاروخ باليستي فرط صوتي، وقد حقق هدفه بنجاح بفضل الله، وقد فشلت المنظومات الاعتراضية في التصدي له، وتسبب في هروع ملايين الصهاينة المحتلين إلى الملاجئ وتوقف حركة المطار قرابة الساعة.
And that's all on Beyond the Continent. Do remember, you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And also follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Don't forget to also watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, including YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Likon Onabanjo.